Happy Devils Thursday. Breaking news. Tom Fitzgerald has the interim tag taken off of his job title. He is now officially the general manager of the New Jersey Devils and executive vice president. We don't want to leave that out, Nick. Also, Lindy Ruff is now officially the head coach of the New Jersey Devils. I am your host, Sam Wu, here with Nick Villano of Pucks and Pitchforks, editor-in-chief, kindly coming to you live somewhere in beautiful Florida, practicing some social distancing using the AT&T LTE network because the internet outage in his area is not preventing him from talking puck, talking New Jersey Devils hockey. The presser was just a little bit over half an hour ago. Nick, what are your thoughts? Because I have some thoughts. I watched it, that Zoom call. Do you like what is happening with our New Jersey Devils?
I mean, I made it pretty clear last night that I didn't like the hire. I'm not going to be a hypocrite and come back and say that all of a sudden nothing talked that I liked the hire. But I don't hate it as much as I did last night. Obviously, Ruff said a lot of the right things. Tom Fitzgerald said a lot of the right things. And I got to say about last night is I didn't do a good enough job saying how much I liked the hiring of Tom Fitzgerald. I think I was focusing more on the negative, and sometimes I do that, and that's on me. I really liked the Tom Fitzgerald hiring. I thought he could get the job with the Hurricanes. I thought there was a couple other jobs. The Minnesota Wild job was one that I thought might be interesting to them to hire Tom Fitzgerald because he's paid his dues. He's a hockey player that can coach. He can GM. He makes shrewd moves. We've seen what he can do. And I think that he's somebody who rebuilt the Binghamton team. I had high hopes for the coaching hire if he was completely in charge with it, because I think that Dennehy in Binghamton was maybe one of the better hires in this organization that we've had in a very long time. I think Dennehy is doing a masterful job in the AHL. And for those who didn't know it, Fitzgerald has been the GM of Binghamton Devils for at least 3 years, but the past couple of years, Binghamton has reestablished themselves. They had a lot of problems just as short as 2 years ago, and last year, you know what they did? They started off terribly. We thought that it was just going to be a terrible season throughout the Devils organization, and Binghamton was able to turn it around, and they ended the season in a playoff spot. We didn't get to see what they did in that playoff spot, which is kind of upsetting, but that's what the pandemic did. It is what it is. So I love that move. I love giving Tom Fitzgerald the full general manager tag. Now I got to see how he does in the draft. Probably the biggest draft in the history of the New Jersey Devils. They've never had 3 first-round picks. So, and if Sami Vatanen plays 70% of the games for the Carolina Hurricanes, they get the 3rd-round pick, which means that all they've really lost was that 2nd-round pick that they gave up in the PK Subban trade. So this is a very big draft for the Devils to see what they do. Are they going to trade down? Are they going to, who are they going to take with that 7 pick? Are they going to get that Arizona pick? So there's a lot that can happen, and they addressed that today. But I will focus on Lindy Ruff because the coach is kind of the person that we see a lot more, the person that's interfaced a lot. And, the more I think about it, I can now look at the positives. I don't like the way he coached defense in New York. I thought he did a very bad job. And the numbers show that. The numbers show that the New York Rangers spent big money on defensemen. Look at Kevin Shattenkirk. They spent big money to bring Shattenkirk there, and then he didn't do well at all. And then he went to Tampa Bay, and he kind of resurrected his career a little bit, had a pretty good season. Not what they paid him in New York. He didn't live up to that in Tampa, and then they bring in Trouba. Jacob Trouba was the big prize defenseman this offseason that they got, and he struggled as well. And there's a lot that goes into that. It's not completely on Lindy Ruff, obviously, but you're the coach, so you're in charge of those things. But I will say this. On the positive side is that you're going to get offense. and you're going to get a lot of fast moving and focusing on the stars, and that's something that maybe this team needs. I mean, this team needs to focus more on building around the stars. I think that in John Hines' system, it was let the stars eat and let them just take over the game, and you saw that in Taylor Hall's MVP season where he was the man, and he got to be the man for the first time in his career, and he really excelled in that role. But right now, the way they're structured is they don't have somebody who needs to be that. They're players who are the man, play like Joe Thornton, play like, they could set up just as well as they could shoot. And I think to start their career, they're going to be goal scorers like Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes. But I think later on, they're going to transition to that role where they make the people around them better. You see how Sidney Crosby transitioned that role. And I'm not saying either of them are Sidney Crosby. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying look at how Sidney Crosby made Chris Kunitz make Gensel better. And Patrick Coring makes, every person they put on his line when they're not a star becomes a star in his lines. I think that's how you want to build them. And I think that Lindy Ruff is the right guy to do that.
Yeah, my initial reaction last night when we were talking on the State of the Fan address, Nick, is that the heck is the devil? What are the Devils are doing, right? So they have the Zoom call. Again, I should really not rush to judgment. But one thing I thought that was really cool with that whole presser, Facebook Live, Twitter Periscope, YouTube Live, you guys watch the presser? They had David Blitzer on. David Blitzer, the minority owner of the New Jersey Devils. And I thought that was cool because I was kind of calling for, ownership, taking leadership over this, taking responsibility for all these, for some of the debacles in the last few years. He used the term value added, which I thought was kind of cool. I felt like I was in a boardroom meeting. But one thing I did notice, and I don't know if you noticed, and they did drop a name. Do you know what name they dropped several times about this these two hires? You know
what's that?
They name dropped Martin Brodeur. That it goes through Marty. That they wanted Marty's opinion. Part of it is, Marty been around for a while. But at the same time, Nick, I'm thinking to myself, not so much Marty will one day take over the franchise, but I thought it was a little bit of a PR move. That, we wanted Marty to meet Lindy and get his 2 cents on it, or to that effect, not the exact words, I don't have the exact quote. And I thought that was very interesting. It makes me feel better as a fan, but, when you look at the Rangers defense the past few seasons, would you blame Lindy Ruff on it? I mean, obviously he has to take responsibility, but I don't think it's completely his fault. Alain Vigneault is a very good coach, before he got fired or left. But this is what I have to say. Will Nazardine still be there? They're going to meet. That's what they said in the presser. I think, you know what? They're going to give Lindy 2 years unless he really bombs next year. But, it's what we talked to Julie Robenheimer. I mean, all right, so what if they stink the next couple of years? You're going to get some good draft picks to add on with some of these first overalls.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely that. I think the alien question is something that's going to hit for a while. I think that they have to talk. It was very interesting how they sit. Talk. It's up to Lindy, who's Coach Ruff, who's going to get those assistant jobs, but that Elaine Nazarene contract. And they only not named as far as Elaine and Mike Guerrero. That was interesting to me, is that they only named the two. maybe I was overthinking it, but I think the situation, if I could guess it, and I get this is what they're probably doing, is that they told him he called their head coach, but if he has a player. I think they think that what he did with the penalty kill was very important. So I agree. I think he's a penalty kill coach. It was the defense that I didn't like. But I think that if they can keep him, they should.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it remains to be seen, Nick. So, well, we just wanted to break the news, just our initial thoughts. We may do a podcast later tonight, the Let's Go Devils podcast, of Beer Baron, Shorts Guy, and Scotty and myself. But we just wanted to just take a little break in our afternoon, talk a little puck just after the presser, trying to get, your reactions as well. Well, anyway, we'll have more. You know where to find us, Devils fans. Nick, I'm going to have to go down to Florida with my full mask. Fix your internet. Till next time, let's go Devils.